Okay, I'm gonna make this video because I've been saying I should make the video, and I've been kind of reluctant to for a while because things didn't kind of go my way when I went to court. And one of the reasons was that when I walked into the courtroom, it was supposed to be for a pretrial meeting. What ended up happening was just like the arraignment. I get forced into a room with prosecutors. Unfortunately, I got met with a team of prosecutors. It wasn't just one, it was multiple. And the first thing the guy said to me was, "You might have had a case until you locked the door." I'm like, "I don't understand why. What was the problem with locking the door?" And he tried to tell me that because I locked the door, that was obstruction. So I knew it wasn't, but it became apparent real fast that they were pretty serious about winning by any means. They didn't give a shit whether it was correct or not. And it's flat out Kentucky. The Commonwealth of Kentucky is not interested in justice. They're interested in protecting themselves and getting money. So that was the first thing. And so we went round and round with it. I showed them the video. I think they had already seen the video anyway, so it didn't really matter. But I had showed them the video. And I asked the guy, I'm like, "You really think you're going to get a conviction on this?" And he's, absolutely. Him and his buddies, they're all sitting there at the table. I got 3 prosecutors sitting in front of me. The cop and his way station stewed, right behind me. And this guy's telling me that basically what I did was obstruction. And long story short, we went around and around, and I tried to, I made some good points and whatnot, but what it boiled down to was that if I didn't take their plea that day, they were going to arrest me and charge me criminally with obstruction. My fault, because I didn't go in there with a lawyer. Had I gone in there with a lawyer that's a little bit more experienced in these things, I probably would have been able to. It would have been gone a lot better. But when you're faced with that situation, somebody's telling you they're going to charge you with a crime for absolutely nothing, it tends to freak you out a little bit. It's like, I'm not going to trade a $200 infraction for a criminal record. That's kind of ridiculous and dumb. So I'm not going to do that. So I went ahead. What I did was I made an Alfred plea. An Alfred plea is essentially the same as no contest. I did admit guilt, but I did admit that the Commonwealth of Kentucky was going to railroad me into a conviction one way or another. And at the same time, I also knew that had I not done that, I would have been arrested that day again and charged with criminal obstruction, which was ridiculous. For locking my door, that's what they told me. It's what they did was illegal, but then again, what they've done the whole time was illegal. Everything they've done was illegal. And I wish my dog would shut up. Hey. Anyway, so I still can sue, and I'm going to, and my plan is to sue for every single count of every small infraction that man did to me. Sergeant Dill Miller, please remember that name. Every little small thing that man did to me, I'm going to sue him for it separately. So, violating my 4th Amendment, violating my 5th Amendment, the 6th Amendment, the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment. And the reason I say the 13th Amendment is because what he tried to make me do, as far as getting in that truck and do that for him, is slavery. I don't have to work for anybody without pay, and to be coerced into working for somebody is slavery. And that's just the way it goes. So, those 5 constitutional points plus false arrest, assault, battery, kidnapping, trafficking. Um, it just there's a long list. Theft, burglary. I mean, because he stole my dog. I had to go get my dog out of the pound and all that. There's a lot of things that different things, and I plan to sue for each individual different thing. Life, I want to make him regret ever treating somebody in that manner, because I didn't do anything criminal. I didn't do anything wrong. All I did was drive through a way station like I was supposed to, and I get stopped and harassed and arrested because somebody had a fucking hard on for putting handcuffs on somebody. He's lucky it was me. He's lucky, it wasn't some other guy out there who might have beat the fuck out of him. The dude's small. He's like Ross Perot. He looks like he's a little small old dude. I could have beat him to death. But I'm not a violent person. I'm not a mean person. But this guy, he brought up emotions in me that I don't think I'd ever felt for anybody ever before. And I don't hope I never feel that way ever again. Because the shit that he did to me that day was, was demeaning. It was humiliating, and it was completely uncalled for. I mean, I could understand it if I had done something, but there was nothing. There was nothing there, and all I said to him was no. I wasn't rude to him. I wasn't yelling at him or anything like that. I think I raised my voice a little bit, but that's because he kept talking over me, and all I really wanted to have was a conversation. But since then, I have revised my policy on how I interact with these people. From now on, if this happens again, I will, on video, ask them to articulate just exactly how this is going to go if I do refuse. And if they're going to tell me they're going to arrest me, I'm just going to go ahead and, okay, I'll do it, but I'll file a complaint and a lawsuit. It's like $50 to file a lawsuit. It doesn't really put me out any. It just pisses them off and makes them have to go to court and defend themselves. And maybe if more people did that, then, maybe less of this shit would go on. The fact is that these cops do this shit because most people are looking for a big giant payday, because there's like a $10,000 cap on how much you can sue an individual officer for. But it's not about the money. I don't care about the money. What I care about is the principle of the thing. And when you do something to me to affect my life, to hurt me intentionally, then that needs to come back to you tenfold. So that's the way I'm going to do that. But I've been getting comments on my video saying that I'm stupid. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've watched too many videos on YouTube or whatever. And maybe that's true. Maybe I'm just completely fucking dumb. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I think I'm not. I mean, most of the response has been in my favor. I've had a few trolls and assholes, wanting to be contrarian and whatnot. I've had a few people there that it's pretty obvious. They're just like, these people who are like, just do what you do. Do what the cop tells you to. Well, if a cop tells you to do something that's completely stupid, then you have no reason to. I mean, the Nazis didn't get away with that shit in Germany by saying I was just following orders. So that shit doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not a measure of law. It's not a standard that you should live by. Just because somebody tells you to do something does not mean you have to do it. You have to weigh the rights. You have to weigh your rights, the legality of it, the fairness of it, and the rightness of it in your mind, and then decide if it's something that you should do or should not do. And it's not something that I don't really like being in the situation. I don't like being messed with by the cops. I don't like being confrontational to them. I don't like doing it. It's not something I really enjoy doing, but it's something I feel like I have to do because my rights are more important to me than somebody's fucking stat sheet. And that's all it boils down to, is their stat sheet. They want their money. Well, not their money. Well, the government wants their money, but the individual officer, in order to look good to his superiors, must put numbers on paper. How many trucks did they inspect? How many violations they find? How many tickets did they write? How many arrests did they make? Things of that nature. That's how police are judged on their performance at work. So that's the whole deal. But I'm definitely going to revise how I deal with these people in the future. This isn't the first time I've ever refused an inspection, but this was definitely the worst time. And unfortunately, it's taught me a valuable lesson that the police, and I've known this for a long time, but it just, it really hit home this time. But the police are not to be trusted. They're not your friend. They're not there to help you. They're there to fuck you. That's the whole point of the way station. That's the whole point of police. They don't give a shit about justice. They're not interested in any kind of justice or fairness or anything like that. They're interested in making their quotas, making their numbers, and fucking sometimes they get off on just doing mean things to people. So I didn't make this video for a long time because I really do kind of feel ashamed for backing down in court and whatnot. I mean, it's upsetting, but like I said, I wasn't going to trade a $200 fine for a potential criminal record. That's not something that you have to. It's risk. You have to weigh the risks and whatnot, and the risk of that was way too much for me. I mean, it's obvious in my dealings with the courts in Henderson County and Kentucky in general that they're not interested in justice at all. They don't care about fairness. They care about money. And the more money they got coming in, the better. And they'll railroad your ass into a conviction with they won't lose any sleep over it. They don't give a shit. So that's all there is to it. That's the update. And unfortunately, it didn't go the way I wanted it to. But it's not over yet. I still have lawsuits. I still have other avenues. I don't give a shit about pleading and taking an Alfred plea on that. It's not a big deal. It is frustrating to me because I really wanted to go to court and beat them at their own game. But I must have ruffled some feathers in Kentucky because, they sent an entire team of prosecutors to get me. This was not normal. So, it was definitely, they were taking it serious, but, in their attempt to avert any kind of serious litigation or whatever, they've committed another crime, which was coercion. They coerced me into a plea, which is illegal. They can lie to me. They can sit there and say, they can insinuate things, but they can't flat out lie to you and coerce you into doing, threaten you into doing what they want you to do. And that's exactly what they did. Fucking Dildo Miller sitting right behind me with his fucking funeral uniform on, just ready to arrest me at any moment. I mean, like, it's a tense situation. So I don't suggest that if you go to Kentucky that you do what I did. I would suggest that you take my revised policy and get it on tape. Ask them directly, what are you going to do if I say no? Get that on tape and file complaints, file lawsuits based on that. But don't go in there and just flat out say no. I hate to say that, but it's obvious that the police are out of control. Kentucky State Police are definitely, they're not lawful. They're not a lawful agency. They are extra lawful, and they are basically a gang. And they will protect themselves and do what they have to do to make sure that they win. Thanks a lot, and I will update something in the future depending on what I get. I mean, if you guys want to point me in the right direction of a lawyer or whatever, that would be great. I've talked to a few attorneys already. I'm just trying to come up with the money to be able to pay for retainers and things. Most of them don't really want to take the case without some kind of a retainer, and I understand. I mean, that doesn't sound good for me, but at the same time, I think I'd rather just pay a lawyer instead of actually having to do the contingency thing. Of course, if I could find a lawyer that'll do it on contingency, and he thinks we got a strong case, and I'll entertain that thought too. But anyway, That's all there is to it. And I wish I had better news, but unfortunately, that is our country is pretty fucked right now. So, just do what you can.